Hello everyone, my name is Sona Jose. I secured All India rank 54 in this year's examination. Now we are going to discuss the strategy for covering the topics like geography, environment and disaster for our mains test series number 2. In this session, for the next week, we are having the subjects like geography, disaster management, and ecology and environment. So I'm discussing how to approach these subjects. Firstly, we are discussing the primary sources that we have to study, especially when it comes to geography. If we analyze the past few questions that asked for the past few years, we can classify these questions largely into three categories. The first category is the pure geography questions, like the questions that asked from the physical geography part, that is mostly the earthquakes or the formation of cyclone, monsoon, that kind of pure theory questions. The second one is the applied questions that we can't delineate whether it's an environment question or economic geography question or the pure geography question. So second category is the applied questions. And the third category is the random questions that they are asking. And I don't think we can prepare for that topics like the twisters or the demographic winter that they asked last year. So for these subjects, we can classify the sources into largely. For the physical geography part, I suggest you to go through Nandagopan sir's note or the class notes that you had in Fortune. That is enough for the physical geography part. For others who didn't attend the classes, I think the white book that they are providing is enough for covering these topics. And when it comes to the applied questions, like the mix of environmental questions like the protection of mangroves or the implications of climate change or global warming on the coastal ecosystem, that kind of questions, I think the white book is enough. Otherwise, I think you can search online or ask for ChatGPT for the comprehensive coverage of these topics, because asking ChatGPT, you will get a comprehensive analysis. Or I checked the white book that provided by Fortune IAS Academy. They have that framework, the status of some issues, the challenges, the way forward. So you can refer any of these sources. And for the random questions, I think rather than depending on purely on any sources, you can practice more answer writing, because answer writing matters a lot in these kind of questions. So for geography, these are the sources that we have to follow. For environment and ecology, as well as for disaster management, I usually referred the class notes that I had from the classes attended at Fortune. So you can refer the white book also. So in addition to that, I think making the PYQ, answers for the PYQ itself will result in a note that you can refer for disaster management as well as environment and ecology. So these are the sources. Largely, I think you can limit your sources or notes to Nandagopan sir's note and Fortune's white book and practice more answer writing. That will help you to fetch good marks in this regard. Secondly, we are discussing how to categorize and prioritize topics. If you take the syllabus, you can see the syllabus of geography or environment and ecology is relatively vast. And if you analyze the questions that UPSC is asking, you can find out some relation with the current affairs or current events that are happening around. So in these topics, you can prioritize. You should prioritize and study accordingly. Otherwise, I think you will find a difficulty in finishing the topics. So firstly, you can rely on the priority topics that I'm going to show in the screen. There is a list of topics that is most probable for the upcoming main. So firstly, you can rely on that. Secondly, you can focus on the PYQs, previous year questions. There are certain themes that are asking repeatedly. For example, the topics like food security. I wrote the mains for 2023 and 2024. In both the years, there were questions related to food security, water crisis, or impact of global warming or climate change. These kind of repeated topics, you can identify these by analyzing the previous year questions and come up to a certain themes or certain topics. The third is take a note of things or events that is happening around, because this year there is a high possibility or probability that they will ask questions on forest fires, especially in the disaster management part or environment part, because we already knew the California forest wildfires that happened. In addition to that, there is a probability to ask questions on earthquakes, because we knew the Myanmar earthquakes and floods happened. And I think for the last 3 or 4 years, they didn't ask any questions on earthquakes. So there is a possibility. So have a tag on the events or recent happenings around you. So that will help you to prioritize the topic. So categorizing and prioritizing topics, you can rely on Fortune's priority topics. Secondly, you can analyze the previous year questions and come to a list of topics which are asking repeatedly. Thirdly, have an idea of recent events or the disasters or environment changes or events that is happening for the last 2 to 3 months or till the time you write the mains. Then the third part is practice, how to practice answer writing or what to focus on. So for that question, I think in the beginning of the class, I classified the geography questions into 3, the pure questions, the applied questions, and the random questions that they are asking. For the pure questions, I think while writing the answers, you should focus on inclusion of more diagrams on your answers. That will definitely help you to fetch good marks, because in pure geography questions, there is little scope for adding the current affairs. Obviously, there are scopes, but I think rather than largely, you can include more diagrams while writing these answers. For example, they ask about the monsoon. You can draw the diagram, the pathways of southwest monsoon or northeast monsoon or the jet streams associated with that. So drawing diagram is important for that kind of pure questions. When it comes to the applied questions, I think the major thing that you have to do is giving recent examples or recent case studies for substantiating your answers. For example, in the applied ecology or applied geography questions, if they are asking about the impact of climate change or happening of any disasters, try to give the recent examples. For example, if they ask about any earthquakes or floods, give examples of Myanmar floods or something, earthquakes or something that happened in the recent times. That will definitely help you to fetch good marks. Then the third type of questions, you should prepare for to tackle the random questions that they are asking, like the twisters last year. So while writing that question, the one thing that you have to focus is that don't give any factually incorrect statement in that answers, because you have to manage it in a vague manner. Because I was not sure about the demographic winter question. So at that time, I think demographic winter. So obviously it is something related to the aging population. So I gave the definition like it is the phenomenon happening when there is a large aging population that eventually leads to the shrinking of workforce. That kind of some statement. Then I gave the social impacts of that, economic impacts of that, because I was not sure whether it is right or wrong. So I vaguely write it will lead to the decrease in GDP or the shortage in economic activities, that kind of statement. So while addressing these random questions, try not to make it factually incorrect. Just give subjective or descriptive points. That will help you to fetch an average mark for these kind of random questions. So these are the things that you have to focus while answer writing. And the next thing is how to integrate current affairs. So I think in geography, while giving the examples, you can easily integrate your current affairs, because for every phenomenon like the monsoon or the recent cyclone or any events, the knowledge of current affairs or the current examples that you had from your newspaper reading or your current affairs magazines or the materials, that will help you to add value-added examples to your answers. So in that manner, you can integrate your current affairs preparation. So along with that, make sure that go back to your prelims notes and just revise those geography topics, because most of the times there is a tendency UPSC is asking about any phenomenon that you have learned for your prelims, like the twisters or something, or the northern lights. Last year they asked about the northern lights, and for the prelims everybody is prepared for this northern lights, like the aurora australis happening in the southern hemisphere, aurora borealis is happening in the northern hemisphere, but nobody is prepared for from the mains perspective. So just if you have time, just go back to your prelims notes, geography notes, current affairs note, and revise that for and be prepared for writing 4 or 5 sentences on that topic. That will definitely add to your answers. Then one thing that in general, one thing that you have to focus while writing answers for geography is the use of maps, especially the Indian maps, the world map, the regional. You can also use the regional maps, especially when you are speaking about the Deccan Trap or Deccan Plateau. Drawing the southern part is enough for you to present that. So learn how to draw the maps, and don't spend too much time on drawing maps. This is the beginning, so you can start practicing drawing the maps. So by the end of this July or beginning of August, you can draw the maps within 10 to 20 seconds. So practice drawing maps properly, and while drawing the figures, try to mark these points. Like if you have some, if you draw some figures, you have to give the description. What you drawn, or give a brief description and use proper markings to try to convey to the examiner. So that is markings, and giving description is something important while you draw the diagram. So these are the general things that I have to tell you. And one thing is that try to write as much as PYQs that you can write, because when you analyze the topics, especially for subjects like environment and disaster, there are themes or there are topics that are repeatedly asked, especially the topics like landslides, floods, or most of the disasters are repeatedly asking on the basis of the current event. So write for the PYQs, practice answer writing. That will help you to cover the syllabus as well as reduce the time that you usually take for answer writing. So now I am going to show you some topics, priority topics. For geography, there are topics like Arctic region and its potential. Usually it might ask in the IR, international relations, or you can approach, while there is a question on Arctic region, you can approach these from a geopolitical perspective. And while studying for these topics, just look what are the strategic interest of India on Arctic region, especially from the point of view of climatic phenomenon, potential minerals, northern sea route. So that kind of things, India's interest also you should prepare. Then for the resource part, you can go to learn the lithium distribution, that kind of lithium distribution as well as the critical distribution of critical minerals in the world. Then the factors affecting the Indian monsoon. Now we are witnessing the onset of monsoon in Kerala as well as other places. So learn about the mechanism of monsoon. What are the factors that impacting the monsoon, like the El Nino, La Nina, Indian Ocean Dipole, Madden-Julian oscillation, that kind of things you can study, the theoretical aspect. And what are the implications of climate change on monsoon, that you can collect data for substantiating your point. Then if there is an delay in the onset, you can quote or substantiate it with any data. So try to collect data from IMD. Then Indian Ocean Dipole, then South Atlantic anomaly. There are some random questions that usually UPSC asks in geography. So be prepared for phenomena like South Atlantic anomaly, dead zones, etc. Then Himalayan region and glacial lake outburst flood. The last year that happened in Sikkim. So there is a probability that UPSC will ask in this year. Then flash floods. That's a frequent occurrence all over India. So be prepared for that. While preparing for these disasters like the flash floods or GLOF, you have to prepare in a framework like what is the current status, or is there any recent example? What are the challenges that India is facing for mitigating or for adapting for these disasters like floods or landslides? And what are the way forwards, or what are the schemes or initiatives that the government is currently doing? So prepare in that framework that will help you to write the answer in a structured way and prepare a conclusion for that. Then the urban heat island concept. Then the tectonic activities and landform shaping, like the plate tectonics, the various boundaries, convergent boundaries, divergent boundaries, the various landforms associated with that. There is a potential questions from that. Then the karst topography, because in 2023 mains they asked about fjords. So it's a glacial landform. So there is a possibility that they will ask about karst topography. So for somebody who is writing for the going for the second or third mains, they can refer the physical geography textbook for the class 11, because in that in the geomorphology part there are names of some of the landforms like the fjords that they asked in 2023. The word is mentioned in the NCERT. So while reading, if you have time, just go to the geomorphology part and just look for the names of various landforms. And if you have time, just Google the name of the landform and read 4 or 5 sentences. So if UPSC asks in the question like the fjords, you can write in 4 or 5 sentences. Or if you have a vague idea, you can develop on that. So if for somebody who is going to write the second or third mains, I'm not advising this for people who are going to write their first mains. Then the seismic shadow zones and the knowledge they have. In these questions like the seismic shadow zones, the diagrams are very important. So try to learn or draw more diagrams while you are preparing. And there is a potential question for the earthquakes, because for the last 4 to 5 years, they didn't ask any questions. So prepare for the seismic shadow zones, earthquakes, etc. Then the western disturbances and Indian climate. So typically while preparing for western disturbances, you have to learn about jet streams. What are the implications or the positive as well as the negative impacts that western disturbances is causing for India, because it helps in rabi cultivation as well as it can create cold waves. So prepare from both the perspective, positive impacts as well as negative impacts. And is there any changes or current changing trend in the western disturbances. Then the location of software industry in India. While preparing for industries like software industry, automobile industry, look for the factors. What are the factors that help these industries to thrive in a special region? For example, in case of automobile industry, the transportation or logistics is something that is very important. Along with that, the capital or raw material. So by learning these industries, you can learn from a perspective or after having a framework like the industry, raw material, transportation, the availability of power or electricity. So by learning this industry, build a framework and develop on that. Then the Strait of Hormuz, geopolitical importance. Last year, there is a Red Sea crisis that happened because of the Hamas issue. So be prepared for these kind of questions. If they ask on the Red Sea or Strait of Hormuz issue or importance of these places, these are typically the choke points of the world. So if something happens to these places that affects the trade that is happening across the world, that can create an inflationary tendencies in the world that affects the overall thing. So be prepared from multiple dimensions like the economic implications, political implications, international implications. So try to come up with points in multiple dimensions. So these are the points for geography. Along with that, there are topics like the monsoon variability and agricultural dependence. So we knew that around 60% of India's agriculture dependent on agriculture is 60% of irrigation is rain-fed. So the monsoon variability has a huge impact on India's agriculture. So be prepared for that kind of answers and try to substantiate these points with data. So if you have proper data, that will add to your answer. Then the globalization's impact on regional disparity. While preparing for these topics, be prepared from the dimension that because of the difference in geography, there are difference in the differential development happened across region. For example, in a hilly region, because of it terrain, that regions are underdeveloped. For example, the regions in Northeast is underdeveloped because of its geographical impact. But at the same time, the coastal regions are more developed because of its geographical advantage. So while preparing for that, prepare the regional disparities and its relation with geography, and how these regional disparities are addressed by the globalization. Because of the globalization, there are a lot of changes that is happening. So look for the changes that is currently happening. Then thirdly, the paradox of mineral-rich regions facing underdevelopment. There is a paradox. If we look for the example of Africa, it is one of the richest countries, group of richest countries with respect to the mineral resource that they have. But they are one of the worst developed countries in the world. So there is a paradox. If there are a lot of mineral resources, but they lack the technology to process that. So lot of countries, other countries are exploiting them for their resources. So there is a paradox. So be prepared for that. Then the river interlinking projects, mainly from the recently our Honorable Prime Minister laid the foundation for the development of Ken Betwa river interlinking project. So there is a potential to ask these questions. The river interlinking, what are the positive impacts? Because it makes sure that proper water availability for every activity, so that can have positive impacts for both economy as well as livelihood. At the same time, the construction of huge reservoirs or dams have lot of negative impacts on the ecology, environment, as well as the tribal displacement. So be prepared from both perspective, positive as well as negative perspective, and prepared for way forwards, like any other, having proper environmental impact assessment or social impact assessment, or alternative mechanism like the rainwater harvesting or sustainable agriculture. So be prepared from both these perspective, positive perspective, negative, as well as having way forwards and recent examples of river interlinking projects. Then the critical minerals I already discussed. Then the shifting cropping patterns. In this cropping patterns, you have to have a understanding from the historical perspective itself, because after the Green Revolution, there is a shift in the cropping pattern from the pulses or other crops to the predominance of rice and wheat. Currently, there is another shift that is happening with the promotion of more millets as well as for environment-friendly agriculture. So be prepared with some kind of data or some kind of initiatives where the government is pushing for the evergreen revolution. So you can read on the topic of evergreen revolution as well as sustainable agriculture, and be prepared with the shifting cropping patterns. Then the other topic is the circular migration that is happening. For in case of India, if we analyze, there is an increasing trend of migration towards Western countries. At the same time, there is a reverse migration of people from the Middle Eastern region to our country. So be prepared with the circular migration, both from the international perspective as well as the domestic perspective, and try to collect some data. Now for disaster management, there are topics like the heat waves, India's action plans, urban floods, urban area disasters, landslides, train accidents, forest fire, coastal zone vulnerability. So for these topics, especially in disaster management, you can prepare in a framework. Firstly, collect 2 or 3 data associated with these landslides. For example, around 12.6% of India's land are vulnerable for landslides. So you can collect that kind of data, so that if some question comes, you can quote this data in your introduction. Then what are the, collect some examples for the recent occurrence. For example, you can quote the Wayanad landslide that happened last year in Kerala as an example. So collect some examples. Then what are the reasons for the occurrence of this landslide? What are the current status? If we analyze the trend, there is a frequent occurrence of landslides that is happening. So collect some data, analyze the current trend. What are the reasons for this disasters to happen? What are the shortfalls in mitigating that? And what are the way forward? So prepare from these angles, and these are the priority topics for that. Then for the ecology and environment, obviously there will be a possibility to ask the human-animal conflict, because if you read the newspaper, once in a week there are some news on this human-animal conflicts. So while preparing for these issues, you have to come up with solutions or way forwards, and these from multiple dimensions. You can add technological solutions that you can adopt. You can search for the physical solutions like the trenches or solar fences that you can use, or there is an angle that the humans can do, like the diversion or changing the livelihoods or the agriculture that is doing near the forest. So while preparing for these issues, you have to prepare for the solutions also. So the human-animal conflict, try to collect some data on that. Then the climate change and its impact on air quality. Recently, there is some questions there. In every question paper, at least there are 2 or 3 questions that is related to climate change. So try to cover this topic climate change from a comprehensive approach. Try to learn what are the implications of climate change on biodiversity, air quality, or what are the implications on the livelihood, what are the implications on the coastal ecology. So try to cover the climate change from a holistic perspective. Then India's step to mitigate the air pollution. For this, you can search for some case studies, because in this actually the air pollution, the issue of air pollution, especially the Delhi air pollution, is a recurring theme. So you can prepare for that. Try to collect case studies from Indian as well as international case studies. Then the environmental impact assessment. If I'm right, I think last year also they asked some questions on the EIA. So there might be some possible questions. So try to cover it from theoretical aspect also. What are the different steps in EIA, or which are the projects that recently got the EIA approval? So that kind of thing. Then the Forest Conservation Amendment Act 2023 and its impact. Since this is the paper 3, GS paper 3, while writing these, you have to focus more on the environment conservation angle rather than the tribal protection or people's rights. If these topics come in GS2, in that topic we are dealing with the governance angle. So in that paper, you can prioritize the rights of tribals or rights of people. But in paper 3 or in paper 1, if it is asked, you can focus more on the environmental protection angle. At the same time, you can give the points like the protection of livelihood of people also. Then the Global Plastic Treaty. Now, last year there was some meetings in South Korea, so be prepared with that kind of treaties, Global Plastic Treaty. In that, you have to learn the stance of different countries, especially the stand India is taking, whether India is trying to completely ban that usage of plastic, or we are trying to promote the alternative. So try to understand the stand of India and the stand of developing world, the developed countries, because there is a divergence in opinion when it comes to the developed countries as well as the developing countries. So try to cover it from a holistic perspective. And if you can collect any data on plastic pollution, it is the second largest or third largest pollution, or any data related to the numbers related to the plastic wastage, it's good. So try to collect any data. Then issues with Forest Right Act and its conservation. Then increasing land, there are topics like water crisis, land degradation, stubble burning. These are topics that are repeatedly asked by UPSC. So try to cover it in the framework that I already said. Then the loss and damage fund under COP28. Recently COP29 also happened. So go for the highlights or the major steps or initiatives that had taken in the COP29 meeting. Then the Indian carbon market framework. So currently, after the UNFCCC meeting or the climate finance COP, there is a push for the carbon market. So while searching for this topic, try to understand it from the international perspective as well as from the Indian perspective, and look for whether India is having any framework for this carbon market. Then lastly, India's push towards green hydrogen. India is having a dedicated national green hydrogen mission, and there are various steps that had taken under that, because in Delhi, there are buses that are running on this green hydrogen. So try to cover it from the perspective, what are the benefits that it could it give while we are using the green hydrogen, because it can reduce the emissions, it can improve the fuel efficiency. At the same time, there are certain challenges that is associated with the usage of green hydrogen, because it is highly inflammable. So that kind of challenges you should address. You can collect some examples associated with that. So these are the topics. So these are the topics for ecology. So be prepared. Be prepared. Just read these topics and try to read more on these topics. Rather than reading, try to write more answers. Especially take PYQs, because PYQs are framed in a different manner. So writing more and PYQs will make you acquainted or familiar to the UPSC language. So write more PYQs. So these are the strategies and these are the topics that you have to focus for the MTS number 2. Thank you.